It's something I want to pose to anyone who is committed to doing mission-driven work, something around social justice. I work in diversity, equity, and inclusion, which I think of as social justice for organizations, anything of that sort. There are going to be people on different sides of a spectrum of like how persuadable and not these different people are, and how much work and time and efforts it is going to take to try and attempt to persuade them to think differently. There are, of course, going to be people on very far on one side who, no matter literally anything that you do, no matter what arguments you make, whether you threaten them, whether you yell at them, whether like literally anything that you do, you are never going to persuade them. You are never going to get them to change their mind. There are going to be people who are kind of in the middle, who are unsure, who have maybe some bias that they need to unlearn, who maybe need some clarification and misunderstandings clarified about what is actually the cause and what actually you are asking of them to change or to think differently around that they may be misunderstanding. And then there are going to be those who already agree with you, who are already very inclined towards the same values that you have, that even if they are ignorant on the specific subject that you're talking about, once presented with the information, they're like, yes, awesome, swallow that whole, because they can see that it's completely aligned with their own values, and off they go. You don't really need to do any like persuasion. So in all of this work that I in particular do, I don't do anything with people who are just very dead set on this is how they think, and especially like around Islamophobes, people who couldn't care less about Muslims and our lives and dignity and like being able to treat us with respect, and that we should feel included in society and that we are equals in society and all of that stuff. If you as someone just don't believe in any of that, then great, have a great life over there. I will have a life over here, and let's just like not engage with each other. If people like that come on my social media, they just immediately get blocked and I move about my day in peace. However, if I see that there is someone who is asking a question in what I perceive to be good faith, or someone who needs just a misunderstanding clarified, or also those who do have the same values as me and when presented with the information are more than happy to run with it and be inclusive and respectful of Muslims, as with other communities, it's just my lived experience clearly is like most visible being a Muslim American in the United States. So having said that, let's get to this comment. The idea being is that for those people who really believe that they are right and there really isn't any reason to talk with them and debate them, is that right now I'm in a series of videos talking about really hateful Christian street preachers who come and yell at people on the street that they're all damned and going to hell because they don't believe the way they believe. And I am getting a lot of comments from people who are Christian, who very much believe that this is justified behavior and that, well, this is what we believe, and so you can't tell me otherwise. And just like overall just standing by this behavior as like completely acceptable and justified. So those people, yes, I agree with this commenter. I am not ever going to change their mind. However, what I want for you all to think about is that if you are inclined towards posting on social media, but even in your day-to-day interactions, when you see that someone is harassing someone or saying something racist or saying something just problematic in whatever way they are, it's not just about persuading that person to not think that way. It's also about all the other people in that environment who are watching him or her or them. Men, I do want to say, are not the only problematic people, not the only ones. Whoever this person is who is saying something incredibly problematic and harmful to someone, maybe in an individual or a group of people, it's also a matter of all of the other people in that space who are listening to this person, and some of those people might be inclined to agree or see some kind of things that they resonate with in what this person is saying. And because no one speaks up and says, hey, I don't agree with that, hey, I find that problematic, and finds that this person is now facing some sort of social consequences or legal consequences or whatever like the context is relevant to the situation, because someone speaks up and says, hey, that's not okay, these other people, again, I'm not saying that we're going to persuade this like really hateful person, not at all. We're not. That's not something we're considering. But the people around this person who might be inclined to agree with them, they get to see that this person is being ostracized, that this person is losing social capital, that this person is having to lose face and lose reputation and all of these things. So if nothing else, they're going to think twice before following down the same route of agreeing fully with this person. And this might also check their assumption that because they don't see anyone critiquing this person or speaking out against them, that everyone is secretly in agreement. There is also something to take into account about other people who have experienced something similar, other similar harassment or bad treatment or disrespect. Like in this case, we're talking about harassment from like hateful Christian street preachers. I now, as a Muslim woman in hijab, speaking out about my experience that sparked all of these different videos and different conversation, I am now seeing in the comments of these videos, all of you putting your own testimony of your own experiences. I'm having other Muslim women who wear hijab saying they've experienced the same thing. I have other Christians saying that they're just not the right type of Christian for these people, so they're getting yelled at and how much they don't like it. We have people who have left Christianity. We have people who are atheists. We have people who are Jewish speaking out about that they are being treated this way. And so all of this has been created instead of me as an individual, which is, this is how I experienced that situation, was feeling so isolated and I am alone and everyone around me. I was the only one in that real life situation that spoke up and said anything. So instead of that very isolating experience and thinking like, oh, well, everyone else is just letting it happen, so I'm the only one bothered by it, so I should just let that go and deal with it, and feeling really, really attacked and unsafe being treated this way in public. Instead of that happening, by now speaking out about it, like in that moment, I'm not going to approach that person because yes, we do absolutely need to protect our own safety, but using the means that I have, in this case, making videos where I'm speaking out about this experience. And yes, I'm having to bear the brunt of all of these really hateful comments from other Christians bearing down and agreeing that no, this is completely justified behavior. However, now other people who've had this experience are speaking up. I'm getting to see that I'm not alone in this experience. They're getting to see that they're not alone in this experience. And we collectively are bolstered in our courage. And the next time something like this happens, we can have that assurance that we are not the only one that is bothered by this. And we are going to be more likely to speak up because we feel that collective energy behind us. It is so incredibly powerful to hear testimony and anecdotes from other people where we are showing that this kind of behavior is actually not as acceptable as a lot of people think, because a lot of people are just not saying anything. So people don't say anything, so people continue to think that it's generally acceptable, so they continue to get away with this kind of behavior. And this is just one specific example. So something for you all to consider in whatever kind of social justice mission-driven work that you find is attractive to you, that you have the capacity to engage in. Keep in mind that when you are engaging in arguing, debating with people, again, make sure that you're protecting your peace and your safety and your mental health. Like, don't harm yourself in doing this. But at the same time, where you do feel that you have the capacity and the safety to debate with people that you know you are never going to persuade, know that the point is not to persuade them. It's all the other people watching who are persuadable or who already have the exact same experience and opinions as you, but they're keeping it to themselves because they feel like no one else is having the same experiences as them.